This is the Dark Zero Horror Network. Psychological Autopsies.
At precisely 10 a.m., in a quiet seaside village, something happened. Something unexplainable. Something unbelievable.
There's a lot of pregnancies, much more than would normally be expected. All the pregnancies seem to date from the day of the blackout.
Oh no.
Now, this town is about to discover that looks can kill.
There have been a few casualties. I should say accidents that might be related to contact with the children.
My daughter was involved. Who are they?
They have one mind that they share between them.
Father?
Let us pray.
You've been discussing us with Dr. Vern. What did she tell you? You're hiding something.
The police can't do anything to stop the children.
Get out while you can.
There's something so much more powerful than we'll ever be.
What are you gonna do?
The only thing that we can do.
You can't stop us, you know. Don't try.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive here on the Dark Zero Horror Network. We really appreciate you joining us for another journey into the truly strange, the sometimes campy, and the lesser-known corners of sci-fi and horror. And if you enjoy these deep excavations into films that maybe get overlooked, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help us keep digging. So our mission today really gets to the heart of what we do. We are doing a meticulous examination of Real, a scalpel-sharp deep dive into the sources surrounding John Carpenter's 1995 remake, Village of the Damned. This film is one that often just sits on the shelf, but our sources show there's a genuinely fascinating, almost tragic story behind it.
Tragic and bittersweet are exactly the right words. I mean, you look at the source material and you see this big studio remake that financially was just a total flop. It pulled in, $9.4 million against a $22 million budget. And critically, it did even worse, a 28% on the tomato meter. But you've got an iconic director like Carpenter, an acclaimed cast, and when something with that kind of pedigree fails, you have to ask, what went wrong?
That's our goal. To extract those surprising details from the on-set nightmares with special effects to, the human drama surrounding the cast. The sources give us a roadmap to figure out why this static, slightly confusing remake still has a place in film history. Okay, let's unpack this.
So the basics first. The film is directed by the great John Carpenter, screenplay by David Himmelstein. It's all based on John Wyndham's fantastic 1957 novel, The Midwich Cuckoos.
Right, but Carpenter immediately Americanizes it. That was such a 90s thing to do with remakes. He takes it from the UK and plants the story firmly in the quiet, fictional town of Midwich, but in Marin County, Northern California.
And it's that idyllic setting that makes the terror so much more effective when it hits. And that terror begins with the inciting incident, the mysterious 6-hour blackout.
Yeah, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., every single person, every animal, just drugs.
Loses consciousness completely. It's unsettled.
And what happens next is just pure nightmare fuel. 10 local women, all of whom were in town during the event, mysteriously become pregnant.
All at the same time.
All at once. And the sources really emphasize how impossible this is. The group includes a woman who was a virgin.
Right, and another who hadn't been sexually active for a full year.
They all give birth on the same night. In a barn, 10 babies, 5 boys, 5 girls, though 1 girl is stillborn.
And these kids, they are uncanny from the moment they're born. They grow abnormally fast. They all share these distinct features, pale skin, that weirdly smooth white blonde hair, and these piercing cobalt blue eyes. But the real horror is their behavior. They're a hive mind, no conscience, no personality, and they have these terrifying psychic powers.
It's a chilling premise.
Yeah.
And it needed a seriously heavy-hitting cast to pull it off. And the lineup is Well, it's a real 90s time capsule. You've got Christopher Reeve, Kirstie Alley, Linda Kozlowski, Michael Pare, and Mark Hamill.
It's a surreal ensemble, isn't it? Especially for what was essentially a small-scale sci-fi horror film. And what's so fascinating is the context around Christopher Reeve's role as Dr. Alan Chaffee. Our sources confirm this was the very last film he shot before his paralyzing equestrian accident in May of 1995.
That is just so incredibly poignant to think about.
It is. It makes Village of the Damned his last theatrically released film, which gives it this heavy accidental significance. And reviewers at the time, they picked up on it. They said that even though the script didn't give him much to work with, he still built this solid, grounded character. Knowing what was just around the corner, it adds this layer of unintentional heartbreak to his entire performance.
And then there's Kirstie Alley.
Yeah.
As Dr. Susan Werner, the mysterious government scientist. I mean, for an actress known mostly for comedy, for Cheers,
yeah,
this was a huge dramatic pivot for her.
And her character is probably the most complex in the whole movie. Dr. Werner is supposed to be this cold scientist, but she also develops this maternal warmth towards the children, which totally clashes with her mission.
But that doesn't save her, does it? Her fate is brutal.
Not at all. The children, led by Mara, force her to fatally stab herself with a scalpel.
Right after she tries to scare them by showing them the preserved body of the stillborn child.
Exactly. It's a really shocking moment. And critics called it an undignified demise for such a major character. It really tells you everything you need to know about the kid's lack of mercy.
And we have to mention the surprising casting of Mark Hamill as Reverend George. He tries to take matters into his own hands, tries to shoot the kids with a sniper rifle.
And they just turn his mind against him, force him to shoot himself instead. It's grim.
And then Michael Pare gets top billing, but he's barely in it.
Yeah, his role as Frank McGowan is surprisingly brief. Must have been a bit of a letdown for his fans.
Okay, this is where the sources get really interesting. The production side. John Carpenter, the master of horror, apparently didn't even want to direct this.
That's right. The sources are pretty clear. He only did it because he was under contract to Universal. He basically saw it as just another job.
That's a huge piece of the puzzle. If his heart wasn't in it, where does that show up?
It shows up in his reluctance to innovate. His version sticks so closely to the 1960 film. He pretty much ignores the chance to dig deeper into the actual novel, The Midwich Cuckoos.
So he's not reinventing the wheel. He's just fulfilling a contract. And you can see exactly what he lifted from that first film, the children's ability to read minds.
Yep, that wasn't really in the book.
The idea of building a mental brick wall to hide your thoughts.
Another borrowing.
And the climax, bomb in the satchel.
All from the 1960 movie. It makes the whole thing feel a bit static, like he was just checking off boxes instead of creating something new.
The biggest production headache, though, was the most iconic part of the children. Those glowing eyes.
Oh, this is a great story. The initial plan was just a nightmare. They were going to make the child actors wear full black scleral contact lenses.
For 9-year-old kids, that sounds awful.
It was. One of the child actors talked about it. They were scared. The contacts were incredibly uncomfortable. It was just not going to work.
A logistical horror show right there on set.
Absolutely. So they scrapped it, realizing it would have been torture for the kids. Instead, the effect was all handled in post-production.
By ILM, right? Industrial Light and Magic.
The best in the business. They did it all with digital augmentation.
Which is so funny, right? Carpenter, the champion of practical effects, had to rely on CGI for the film's biggest visual.
And even then, critics thought the effect was overdone. A little too flashy, maybe? It didn't quite land, despite the advanced tech.
Before we get to the end, there's this one subtle detail about the social commentary. In the 1960 film, they wouldn't even say the word pregnant.
That's right. The 1995 version is a little bolder. Kirstie Alley's character, Dr. Werner, stands up in front of the whole town and says the choice to terminate the pregnancy is theirs.
And that the government will do the procedure. They still don't say abortion, but it's right there. A clear shift in what a mainstream film was willing to talk about.
Now, shifting to the conflict, this is another place where you can feel Carpenter's lack of enthusiasm. The violence. Critics were shocked by how tame it was. For a Carpenter film, the camera really shies away from the gore.
Which is such a missed opportunity. You need that visceral punch.
They did get one clever kill in, though. The poor guy who passes out and accidentally falls onto a lit BBQ grill.
Oof. But the kids' actions were still devastating. Mara forces her own mother to first burn her arm in boiling water.
And then jump off a cliff. It's brutal.
And the minister's widow, Sarah, is forced to set herself on fire.
And they even make the cops shoot each other. The whole town just descends into chaos.
Right, and that's when the government realizes what's at stake. Dr. Werner reveals that these blackout colonies have happened before in other countries.
And they were all eliminated. Sometimes they had to destroy the entire town just to contain the threat.
Which leads us to that final confrontation, Dr. Chaffee Christopher Reeve against the 9 remaining children.
He knows he has to stop them. He plans to detonate a time bomb in a briefcase right there in their classroom.
And to hide it from them, he uses that mental brick wall trick, just thinking about a brick wall over and over.
But here's the biggest change Carpenter made to this story. The introduction of David. He's the outcast. His intended mate was the stillborn girl, so he's alone. And because of that, he's developed human compassion, empathy.
That one change drives the entire ending. David's mother, Jill, begs Alan to spare him. Alan agrees and tells David to leave. But just as the clock ticks down, Mara breaks through his mental wall.
She sees the bomb, but it's too late. It explodes, killing Alan and all the other children. And the film ends with Jill driving away with David. The leaders are gone, but the one compassionate alien child, he survives.
So at the end of the day, what does this all mean? Village of the Damned 95 is. It's a confusing, rushed remake that totally bombed, but it endures. It has to, because of those powerful, tragic performances from Reeve and Ellie, and because the core ideas are just so compelling.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, the main critique is that both film versions miss the point of Wyndham's novel. The novel is about the absolute incompatibility of the two species. Coexistence was never an option. By having Reeve's character struggle with the decision, critics felt the film lost that core tension.
And that leaves us with a final question, and it's all about David. The ending was changed to let the one good one survive. We're left thinking maybe, just maybe, everything will be okay.
But you have to ask, right, considering their alien nature and the fact that David still has immense psychic powers, what future threat does a sympathetic but fundamentally alien child pose once he grows up? Has Jill saved a child, or has she just preserved the template for a new, maybe smarter and far more dangerous colony to form down the road? That is definitely something for you to think about.
This wraps up tonight's deep dive horror and slasher. Join us next time on the Dark Zero Horror Network as we go into other slashers and other forgotten tales of terror. Sweet dreams.